when I spoke in El Salvador, but, oh, wait, I forgot something. You know, I knew I'd forget something. Any little change in complexity has a rippling effect. And in this case, it was doing it at night after a long day of being a little bit sick and under the weather. So I figured, what is the best way to deal with illness is let's have something to drink. So today we have La Soline, I guess is what it is. Or La Lonine or La Soline? I think it's Soline. It's Italian. I don't speak Italian. It's Spanish a little bit, but not Italian. And how do you drink Italian wine? Does everybody know what the secret is? Edge, I see you there. Do you know what the secret is to drinking Italian wine? You drink it the Italian way out of a rock glass. So, no coffee. It's too late for coffee. I apologize. And good evening. And welcome to the Freedom Coffee live stream, where we celebrate the freedoms that we have and we work on and share ideas and positivity and the type of energy we need to expand those freedoms in the future. So glad to have you here. How do we do that? We do that normally in the mornings when we do the morning live streams. We do it with a cup of coffee. We do it with something to ease our anxiety. But tonight, why don't we ease our anxiety with, well, a little bit of Italian grape juice greatness, right? Hey, Jesse, you drink it with... Sorry, I'm late. Well, Jesse, I'm not much of a drinker, to be entirely honest. So I'm not going to have very much because I have the worst tolerance in the world. I'm probably already starting to turn a little bit red. That's how novice I am. I'm a good boy, see? Even the social conservatives should be happy because I barely drink. I don't do any drugs. I'm pretty much a good boy. I have my vices like anybody else, but nothing too extreme. Okay, so please first share, like, subscribe this live stream as much as possible. You know, it's the last time I've only done 2 night streams before. One was Punchy McGregor when he did that lie he called a documentary on the Freedom Convoy. And the other time we did that, the first, hopefully I'll do more as soon as I get time, of the ancient history, biblical, Talmudic stuff, which some of you really appreciated it, and I will get more to that in the future once my life gets a little bit more calm, because things are really, really crazy. So, forgive me if I seem a little under the weather. I am, but today was an important day. But today we have a theme. I have a theme for today's live stream. And the theme for today's live stream is, has everyone lost their minds? It's the only way. Seriously, is everybody gone nuts now at this point? It's really kind of weird what's happening. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'm not just talking about the woke right. Oh yeah, that's right. You didn't know that existed, did you? Well, the woke right is starting to become more popular than it should be, and it's getting a little concerning. But we'll talk more about the woke right in a little bit. So today marks the 2-year anniversary since I did the statement for the Freedom Convoy on Jordan Peterson's podcast. And what's interesting, there's so many things about that that happened during the convoy, so many stories I haven't told anybody yet, including all of you, but people personally as well. I've kept a lot of stuff to myself, believe it or not. And over time, I'll talk more and more about that stuff. But I do remember specifically that morning when Jordan called me, and we'd been speaking, every couple of days sort of thing. I would call him. He called me. He offered up his ear, and I'm always appreciative of that. And I think he kind of got an understanding of where I was trying to help with the messaging on everything, and he realized all the intentions were good. Wasn't a hyperbole. It was mature. It was not dangerous. and it probably helped us big time. But I remember when he called me that morning and said, maybe we should do something on the podcast. And I said, sure. He said, what about a statement that's a couple of minutes long or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, great. Because I had been doing GB News and Newsmax and a lot of alternative media as well that many of you saw a lot of those interviews and podcasts, and it was in Twitter Spaces and doing press releases and all that stuff, trying to get a rational understanding of what we were seeking there. So everybody in the media and the political class, they know they're lying, right? I know that they know they're lying. They know that I know that they know they're lying. And so it's fine. I mean, that's the game. But one of the things he said to me was he asked me a couple of, basic ideas, suggestions. And I told him, no, this is kind of what, this is where I'm going. He knew already. We had spoken a few times. And he said, yeah. And one of the things, it always struck me to this day, he said, yeah, I'm a little concerned about some of the people that are hovering around this convoy. And I said, yeah, there's reason for that. And I didn't get into all the issues that I and others were dealing with behind the scenes. The people who, hindsight's 2020. You knew there was something wrong while it was occurring. But because you couldn't see the full chessboard, you only could see a few pieces working over here and a few pieces working over there and a couple of pieces working down there. It was difficult to put it all together and to see who the players were and to understand who the players were. Scott talks about this on his podcast, but this is basic politicking and business as well, by the way, in business negotiations, is you have to know who the players are, and it's the same thing in politics. And during this time, I couldn't see who all the players were. Knew a lot of the names and the people and what certain people were tied to, but you couldn't see everything. And that's why I even put it up again today, responding to somebody. It takes 1 to 5 years for the truth about any political event to come out. Whether it's January 6th, whether it's, JFK, anything. It takes 1 to 5 years for the truth to come out. And I'm willing to bet, I wasn't alive in the 60s, but I'm willing to bet for the first 5 years, there was nobody running around suggesting that it was anything other than what, at that time, unidirectional media had suggested, right? And probably after, 4 or 5 years or so, people started becoming vocal and asking questions, right? Well, we live in a different era now where media is bidirectional. Information travels so much quicker because of telecommunications, aka social media. And it's a lot easier not a lot easier. It's more difficult because there's so many more, I call them the online parasites. In China, they're the 50-cent army. In Bitcoin, they're the 50 sat army. In politics here, they're the 50 view army. The people who just get paid for promulgating, nonsense, running a script, running bots, all that sort of stuff, right? But anyways, so I remember Jordan saying that to me, saying I'm really concerned about some of the people around the Freedom Convoy. And I think it's part of it is he saw some of the people that had shown up at that point that came afterwards, the Fed Mackenzies and that whole group and the people who were smearing myself and Tamara and others. Oh, we're with freedom, but Dichter's not a real trucker. Tell that to my mechanic who sends me the bills. But yeah, it wasn't until then that people started to get a little concerned. And there's people that show up with political mandates of disrupting the Freedom Convoy, right? Just like people showed up at January 6th to disrupt and cause chaos around the January 6th protests. Same idea, right? But anyways, one of the things I had said specifically, and clearly nobody in the legacy media listened, in this statement that I prepared for Jordan, and I put it intentionally in there. And I only had like a short window. Like he called me, I think it was later in the morning, and he said, okay, let's do it at 2 o'clock. And then I said, okay, fine. I was dealing with a whole bunch of different things. So by like 1 o'clock, I'm like, I got to write a statement. You know, I'm great with being long-winded and just running off the cuff, but for something that was that important, it needed to be pointed. And so I had like 45 minutes to do this. I had somebody who's helping with editing stuff, so kind of drafted something out really quickly, sent it to him, and he looked at me. He said, "Isn't that a little bit direct?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is how I want it to be." He's like, "Okay," and edited, grammar, punctuation, all that. Send it back to me. Let me look at it. Okay, and that's what we rolled with Jordan. And I said, one of the things specifically, I said, "No, I'm gonna almost quote. I don't remember the exact words, but I know." I know basically what I said, which was, I said, it's time for the political class and the media to turn down their rhetoric and stop behaving in such an unparliamentary manner, that the era of pejoratives and slander must come to an end. And I said that specifically hoping somebody in the legacy media had a functioning brain cell. Somebody within the political class of people who held office had a functioning brain cell, understanding that it's their behavior that is leading to discontent across the political spectrum, no matter where people are, whether it's the corruption, the associations with lobbyists, the calling people names, the divide and conquer amongst the voting base, the American citizens that they're supposed to represent. You would hope that somebody had enough of a functioning brain that they would consider that. But no, how did they respond? Well, they responded by calling us names again, right? They're just the dumbest people in society. They really are. As I just call people names. Well, I'm not in Parliament, not running for Parliament, never running for Parliament. So that's just the way it is. But anyways, I put up that video today, a link to it. I suggest you, if you could, please watch it, but also share it with people. And share it with people who are confused about and didn't understand the good nature of the Freedom Convoy protest, what we were trying to accomplish, and how we were trying to bring all of us together, irrespective where you are on the political spectrum. And by the way, that's what this is about. That's what this book is about. It's all about all the good stories and all the good things that came from it, and how we all unified, and people who, there are some people who didn't care about politics. There's some people who definitely very passionate about politics, saving us across the spectrum, across the divide. And we all came together at that point, That's what I put here. The trucker convoy that gave us hope, because that's what it did. And it's really disheartening that we're watching the political actors and the lobbyists and all the people who tried to grab onto the Freedom Convoy and rip it apart while it was happening are continuing to do so to try to destroy the legacy of this beautiful moment in Canadian history. Why? For party politics. Because they want their guy to win. They don't want people to unify and come together and focus on their similarities, not their difference. No, that doesn't benefit them, right? And then so many of them are just narcissistic whores that they just have to be. They have to be the center of attention of all this so they can ensure that nothing like this can continue, and we all have to beat each other's throats, right? And they do that for what? For what? For money. For money. They are obsessed with money. And some of them Jewish conspiracy theories, are as ironic as that is. Anyways. So, the first in this section that I was going to talk about, thank you, Jesse. Yes, thank you. And by the way, Jesse, somebody yelled at me for talking to you while I do my stream. It's like, Beth says, functioning brain cells and media, really, nope. Yeah, well, that's, they're stenographers at this point, right? And by the way, the same thing goes for alternative media. You have stenographers in the legacy media that are for the ruling party and the government in power, and then you have the alternative media. Most of them are captured, and they're stenographers for the opposition parties, and that's it. And it's turned into such garbage. That's why, it's funny. When I started doing podcasts, I've done a bunch of them. I have 3 going now and 2 more that are going to be launching in 2024. There's a reason I never did interview podcasts, because if you do interview podcasts, then you're dependent upon your guest. And if you're dependent upon your guest, it's so easy for you to be captured because, well, a good guest will boost your numbers. Well, that's how the political parties and the lobbyists exploit people. They look at people who have either a small following or a moderate following, and they say, oh, we can give you a major boost. We can give you access to, I don't know, you choose a figure. Say, we'll get this person on your podcast, and that'll easily get you a few 100,000 views for your next video. Like, oh, okay, well, that starts the process of them getting captured. I would never do that, so I just try to focus on the individuals who are the stars of the show, if you will. All right, so, and by the way, tomorrow night's 8 o'clock at night, Not on Record, with Joseph Newberger, and I think, I'm trying to remember, I think tomorrow is Michael and Joseph. Diana and Joseph was last week, so I think it's Michael and Joseph this week. All right, anyways, check it out, great podcast. If you want to know how our legal system actually works, then Not on Record is probably a good thing for you to watch, because I can tell you some of the people I'm going to talk about here, they don't watch Not on Record. All right, I first want to talk about something called, and this is very important for everything else we're going to discuss, and that is, it's going to sound boring, but I'm going somewhere with this. Parliamentary immunity. Do you know what parliamentary immunity is? Oh my God, you talk to others on your stream. But that's okay, I'll talk to you after the stream. No, it's whatever, I can talk to you in Discord or here. So parliamentary immunity, what is that? Parliamentary immunity, also known as legislative immunity, this is from Wikipedia, by the way, is a system in which political leadership position holders, such as president, vice president, minister, governor, lieutenant governor, speaker, deputy speaker, member of parliament, member of legislative assembly, member of legislative council, senator, member of Congress, counselor, etc., are granted full immunity from legal prosecution, both civil prosecution and criminal prosecution, in the course of the execution of their official duties. Okay? Did everybody understand that? So let me just explain that. Parliamentary immunity, also known as legislative immunity, is a system in which a bunch of elected people, basically everybody who's elected, are granted full immunity from legal prosecution, both civil prosecution and criminal prosecution, in the course of the execution of their official duties. Advocates of parliamentary immunity suggest the doctrine is necessary to keep in check on unauthorized use of power of the judiciary, to maintain judicial accountability, and to promote the health of democratic institutions. And the first one here, I think, is what's important. The doctrine is necessary to keep in check on unauthorized use of power of the judiciary, right? Basically not weaponizing the judicial system, which is, that's like what's happening in El Salvador. And I talked a little bit about that. We're going to talk a lot more about El Salvador in the future. Bug, is this a bug or a feature? Well, I guess it depends on how forward-thinking you are, if it's a bug or a feature. I know there's a lot of people who get very frustrated that politicians don't get arrested and for things that involve their official duties, and they're not held to account, meaning people want to see them in handcuffs. But that's just not the system that we live in. That's not where we are. So you have, basically, you want to prevent, what this is trying to do is trying to prevent political figures from being, or should I say better, the political opposition from being arrested and incarcerated in mass. Because what happens if you do that? Well, you just arrest your opposition and then you end up in a full dictatorship, which is exactly what Putin's done, by the way, and looks like El Salvador as well with Bukele. So, on YouTube, no, there's no. Freedom Convoy was in 2022. But thank you coming from Josh. 2 years ago. That's another thing. You know, people. This is a tactic that's being used by the political class, where they want to. It's not that they want to resurrect the Freedom Convoy. The politicians are so afraid of the legacy of the Freedom Convoy that they want it to go away. And they can't make it go away because it was such an amazing moment for all of us. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to try to do anything they can to discredit it, to make it look silly, to make us look silly, which is, we're going to be talking about some of that stuff in a minute, right? That is a common tactic, by the way, with grassroots movements in Western countries now, where if you have a grassroots movement, it will be subjected to political entryism by political figures who will take it over. They will be then associated with that movement, and then they say really stupid things to turn off just regular people who don't really know what's going on, right? So, that's parliamentary immunity. We all understand parliamentary immunity is for elected officials, that they just can't be prosecuted. That's just the way our system is. I mean, with certain limitations. It's within the scope of their assigned duties, right? If people are involved in, I don't know, racketeering, organized crime, stuff like that, that are not on the mandate of the duty of an elected representative, then yeah, obviously going to be prosecuted. Okay, fine. And I know lots of you probably think Justin Trudeau is part of organized crime. I don't like him either, but he's, I mean, maybe money laundering. I don't know, for the Chinese, maybe. All right. So we now know what parliamentary immunity is, right? Great. All right. So the first section has everybody lost their mind? This is so good. This is not a face palm. This is a double face palm. A triple. If you have three hands, this is triple face palm. I can't believe this. This came out this week. I don't understand what they're doing, but Tamara, God bless her soul, and her husband Mater and Keith Wilson have launched a lawsuit. And you're probably all thinking, oh, great, they're launching a lawsuit. Very exciting. That's right. They're suing. I can't believe this. Court of the King's Bench of Alberta. They are suing Justin Trudeau. They're suing the Governor General. This is according to Wiretap Media, who put this out there. Apparently a journalist. The Governor General. And I can't believe I have to read this. Like, it's so clown world. His Majesty the King of England. Yeah, you didn't hear that. So let me say this again. Tamara, her husband, under Keith Wilson, who, I'll say something nice about him maybe later on, actually. But in general, I don't have nice things to say about him. But they are suing Justin Trudeau, the Governor General, and His Majesty the King of England. Yes, you heard that right. They think they're going to sue King Charles. And that's why I ask, has everybody lost their mind? Does nobody know how the world works? Really? Really? You're going to sue the king of a foreign country? Really? Really? That's what you're going to do? Okay. So I want to see the look on the judge's face who has to see this going on. God. I would like to say to their lawyer, their barrister and solicitor, Mr. Keith Wilson, you can't do that, right? You're King's counsel. You can't do this. And And this goes beyond parliamentary immunity. You're trying to sue the monarch of another country for Justin Trudeau? Fucking idiot. What is going on with these people? I gotta drink. People are just for clown shows. I remember when I was in Mexico, one of the very first times I was in Monterrey, and I went to this nightclub called Far West Rodeo. It was a nightclub, and then at 12 o'clock at night, the lights all went on, and I said to my girlfriend who was there at the time, who was Mexican, I'm like, well, what's happening? She's like, oh, come, we're going to the other side. What's on the other side? We walked to the end of the bar and then down the stairs, and inside the nightclub, there is a full-size rodeo ring with, like, the stadium and stadium seating and stuff. And then, these horses come running out, and they're playing Selena music, and we're all getting into the stands. And then what came out? Keith, Wilson, Tamara, and her husband, the clown car. Like, they're going to sue the King of England. Fuck. I'm sure King Charles is really worried. What's up, Tao? It's good to see you, brother. Tao, did you hear? They're suing the King of England for Trudeau. For Trudeau's use of the Emergency Measures Act. And I have it right here. Look, you can see it right here. Here, just so you know it's not a fake document. That's it right there. You can probably read it. I don't know if you can see it on the locals. Yeah, the locals one is backwards. But yeah, it says Court of King's Bench, Alberta, Justice Center, Edmonton, filed digitally on Valentine's Day. Wow, how dramatic is that? Plaintiffs Tamara Lee Leach, and Dwayne Leach. Wait. Okay. Defendants His Majesty the King and the Attorney General of Canada. Oh, the Attorney General of Canada. Wait, I thought they were doing... there's something lost in translation here. Anyways. You can't sue the King of England! Fucking crazy. I give up on people sometimes. Now I'm aside from the fact that I'm confused but massively entertained by this stupidity. Is this just another vehicle to pump you all for money and for donations? Like, are the mass emails going to be going out that, we're suing the Attorney General, we're suing the King of England, and we're going to get real justice for Canada, and we're going to secede from the monarch? What the fuck? Pardon me. Or alternatively, is this just another attempt to discredit the Freedom Convoy and make us look unhinged? Is that the political play that's going on? Because there's a lot of that goes around. That is a very common tactic in politics now. That is to try to use people to discredit a movement. And is that what's going on? I don't know. Just like that silly presser yesterday. There was a presser yesterday on Parliament Hill in the media room in Parliament. Where some guy, I don't know who he is, I guess he was at Freedom Convoy, who's complaining. He had a press conference, a spokesperson for the Freedom Convoy. Like, okay, what happened to Butthurt Locker Tom? Oh yeah, we destroyed his reputation with facts. I forgot. Anyway, so Butthurt Locker Tom's out of the picture now. So then they bring him this guy. And he starts off by saying, people like us, if we wear a maple leaf and the word freedom, we can't get into Parliament. And I remember thinking, no, it's because you're not wearing a suit. You go to Parliament, you're a conservative, you need to wear a suit. You need to dress respectfully. Like, well, anyways, whatever. But what's interesting, I think these people are just all being used. This is all the kids. It's not his fault. It's not everybody else. They're just being used as useful idiots because that's how the political class look at these people. And they're trying to prop them up so they can get some cameras there and make the Freedom Convoy look like it's completely unhinged and a bunch of maniacs who didn't know what they do, because Pierre Poilievre doesn't want to have to talk about the Freedom Convoy or should I see his team around him. So they need to discredit it and make it look unhinged. That's why they can't have people like, I don't know, myself or other people that were actually there doing our best in Ottawa, trying to keep cooler heads to prevail. You can't have people like us there. You got to get people that have F Trudeau all over their Facebook page. And what's interesting is, in order to hold a presser in the media room on Parliament, do you know how that happens? Because you and I can't just go and call Parliament and say, yeah, I want to have a press conference. I'm showing up tomorrow at 3. It's not the way it works. It has to be endorsed by a member of Parliament. So there you go. There is your Conservative Party. Whoever endorsed that within the Conservative Party. Be interesting to look to see on their website which member of Parliament, on the Parliament website, which member of Parliament endorsed that media hit and reserved the room. Who was that? Because there you go. There's the Conservative Party bringing in unhinged people to make us look silly. Because the first rule of politics you got to understand, and it's a different world. It's a horrible world, and don't ever go in it, I got to tell you. But perception is more than just everything. It's everything and anything. It's the only thing they care about is perception. That's why they're so good at lying to you. That's why when they ask you a question, they don't care your answer. They're just reading your body language, because they spend all their time lying to each other. That's just the way it is in politics, right? I remember being asked by one of the regional guys from the Conservative Party, called me, it's never a question, it's always an accusation. And he called me about something on social media, I can't remember what it was. And I'm like, I don't know, I did something for one of the riding associations. And I said, they asked me for a favor, one of the riding associations, this was one before I became a candidate. And they asked me for a favor, and I did it for them. Well, he didn't believe me because he spends all his time lying through his fucking ass to everybody. So it doesn't matter. You can tell the truth as much as you're blue in the face. They're always looking for the opportunity of perception, either that's in their best interest or to destroy your reputation. That's how these people live every day of their lives. Like, it's no wonder they're all alcoholics and drug addicts. By the way, that's not just liberals. It's also conservatives. How many of you know they're all coke addicts? Did you know that? Did you know most of our parliamentarians have serious addiction issues? But anyways. So perception is everything in politics, and that's why they look just to position people and to position them in a way that they're digested either in the positive or the negative, and then they can leverage a voting block around it. That's it. That's how it works, right? All right, so in the first part of Has Everybody Lost Their Mind, Tamara and her husband, under the guidance of Wilson, are suing the King of England, suing King Charles. King Charles, you better watch out. I'm worried for you. You got the big guns coming after you, man. I mean, Wilson's never won a lawsuit to date, but he does know how to pump people for money. So, I don't know. Remember the Peckford case? He kept talking about, we got the Peckford case coming up. And he had that idiot stooge, Hurtlocker Marazzo, and they did a thing online together. We got the Peckford case. This is going to be historical and ever-changing. And it's him. What's that other idiot that I told to go get lost? Oh, Eva. Him and Eva and Marazzo. We're doing the Peckford case. This is going to be historical, changing, blah, blah, 24 hours later, dismissed. Oh my God, he got dismissed. Give us more money. We'll do it again. Oh, fuck. I told you tonight's going to be fun. There's going to be some positivity coming, I promise. Don't worry. All right. Lawsuit number 2. Yes, there is a second one. From the files of Has Everybody Lost Their Minds? This lawsuit, wait, I think I lost it. Where is it? Hold on. This one, it's an image and I need to see it. Oh, okay, it's down here. I don't know why it's mixed up, but let's keep this up. These are things I have to read, that's why I have notes for today. All right. Lawsuit number 2 Do you remember what parliamentary immunity is? We discussed that if you're just joining. We had open discussing parliamentary immunity, which is, or legislative immunity, where members of parliament and the legislature have immunity while they are in parliament. And the exact precise, where is it? Right here. So I'm clear on this, so there's no ambiguity. The exact wording is, they are granted full immunity from legal prosecution, both civil prosecution and criminal prosecution, in the course of the execution of their official duties. Okay? It's parliamentary immunity. Parliamentary immunity. All right, so lawsuit number 2, I don't know if this is a similar strategy, but number 2 is this. It is, oh, it printed out 2 copies that's why. It is a lawsuit filed in Ontario Superior Court from a bunch of people I don't know. I don't want to list out all their names because I don't know who they are. I'm trying to think who I know. Well, actually, I know one person here. Oh, well, that explains who's funding it. Okay, well, anyways, it's a group of people tied to, they're clearly supporters of the Freedom Convoy. Oh, one of the guys is the guy who's telling you all. Oh, my God. Okay, so there's a video going around on the internet that is a lie. So what it's doing is they're telling you, because of the Justice Mosley ruling, you have 30 days to sue the government for Justin Trudeau misusing the Emergency Measures Act. That is so wrong that I told my lawyers about it, and they two of them almost fell off the chair laughing. The ruling has gone to appeal. So you don't launch a lawsuit until the appeal is done. There's no 30-day time limit when it goes to appeal. Any time limits would incur after the appeal ruling when the appellate court is finished with it, right? But I don't know, maybe this is just another way to pump people for donations and money or something. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But anyways, a bunch of people, remember we discussed parliamentary immunity, right? Are suing they're suing a bunch of people. Parliamentary immunity. They are suing, and I don't like these people for obvious reasons. Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, David Lametti, Dominic LeBlanc, Bill Blair, Marco Mendicino, Attorney General of Canada, Jody Thomas, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Dennis whoever, Brenda Lucky, Steve Bell, Robert Bernier, Ottawa Police Service Board, Ottawa Police Service, another one, Ottawa Police, the Toronto Dominion Bank, the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, the Bank of Nova Scotia, I think I saw the Royal Bank in there, Canadian Tire Services Limited, Canadian Tire, what the fuck? Canadian Tire Bank, Meridian Credit Union, whatever, another credit union I can't pronounce, I guess that's Italian. Gulf and Fraser Credit Union, Stride Credit Union, Simply Financial, Canadian Anti-Hate Network, Bernie Farber, who's a piece of crap, by the way, John Doe and ABC Corp. So I guess you can sue whoever you want, but listen, I don't like these people either. But the first half of them have parliamentary immunity, as we discussed. The banking people, as was illustrated in the article in Zero Hedge about me in the Daily Wire, when the Scotiabank apologized to me and inferred that was under the direction of the RCMP and the federal government that they acted to freeze people's bank accounts. And they just hate Bernie Farber and Anti-Hate Network, and I'm sure they want discovery with him, and I'm all for that. I'm supportive of that. But I don't know what the motives are. I guess I'm a little bit concerned. and want to make sure these things are above board, because so many people have been exploited and used for donations for the past 2 years. And by the way, there's one of a few people that have never asked anybody for a dime. And there's a few of us. So, of course, all the money launderers and grifters, they do just what the left does. They accuse everybody of what they themselves are guilty of, which is why they try to smear myself and Bridget and Chad and Chris and a whole bunch of other people, because we're not part of the money laundering scheme to pump you for donations, right? Because that's a threat to them. But anyways, in this case, I don't know that that's the case or not. And this was put out, the tweet was put out by Lion Advocacy. That's Daniel Fairheight, David Fairheight, otherwise known as Viva Fry's brother, and suggesting that it would be interesting if there were cross claims in the process. I don't know. I think they'll just all move to dismiss it and say, what do you want? The government told me what to do. And everybody else saying, we had nothing to do with this, we don't hold office. And by the way, those people have parliamentary immunity. So, but maybe they just want to go for discovery and find out what they can in communications, but their lawyers will probably just tell them it's going to be dismissed, don't give them anything, and that's it. I don't know. I'm no lawyer. I could be completely wrong. And maybe it'll get, but I'm just really concerned that this would, I don't want to see any more people be exploited for donations. And I just don't want to see that happen again. I don't know that that's the case, and I'm not saying that's the case. It's interesting at least, and the discovery part, I would be looking for that. That would be great. I'd like to see who was talking to everybody. But I don't know that that's the right approach, to be entirely honest. That sounds like a political approach to me, which I don't know if that's the right thing to do, to be entirely honest. There's so many other things I think that can be done, especially reputational-wise. Like well, I got another copy of everything here. When I was down in South America after I had broken my leg, and I went back there, as you know, to learn how to walk again and all that sort of stuff. It changed so much from when I had previously been there. As some of you know, I go to South America quite frequently because I have very good friends there. I'll be there again this year because my closest friend is getting married. And it's interesting. It would always be, people would tell me how much they like, Justin Trudeau, and he's a young leader, and he's so good, and all that sort of stuff. And I would be like, yeah, okay, whatever. We're just not going to discuss it. I'm not going to have the conversation, sort of thing, right? And the last time I was there, which was after the convoy, when I went down there to kind of, like I said, learn how to walk again, and all that sort of stuff. My friends who I don't talk about politics with down there, because you never know who's connected to who in South America, right? Told me they now call Justin Trudeau Cara Negra Fidelito. And Cara Negra means blackhead or blackface. And Fidelito means Little Fidel. So they call him Blackface Little Fidel. I guess they must have a lot of fun with him when he goes down to Costa Rica. That's your retribution. That's what happens to politicians who sell out their own country and destroy the reputation and legacy of their family. Not that there was much one. And I'm sure they're going to try to run Trudeau again in 10 years. He liked the lifestyle, and they'll con him into running again. But I don't know that it's going to go anywhere, right? But anyways, so if you think there's going to be legal recourse, unless you get, the RCMP to investigate the Trudeau Foundation, which they should be doing by now, because everybody in policing knows exactly what's going on. They know what's going on with the Chinese groups, the communist groups. The police know everything going on with all the Islamist groups operating in all the political parties. They know absolutely everything. But unfortunately, policing is so politicized that they're unable to act on much of the information they have, to the frustration of officers, which is why there's so many of them that are putting in for transfers or are retiring early, which also leads to why crime has gotten so bad. because of the FIDO mentality, which is forget it and drive on, because it ain't worth me losing my life or my career or my house to do my job that I'm not allowed to do anymore. That's what's going on on the side of policing, on the backside. All right. So those are the two lawsuits, and suing the King of England and a bunch of people who have parliamentary immunity. The King of England. You know who they should sue? If somebody talks to Wilson, tell him, Wilson, Dichter tells him you should sue Princess Diana. That's who you should go after. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? Okay, so the next thing in, has everybody lost their mind? I think we all like Tucker Carlson, or many of his takes. I disagree with him sometimes as well, but you like to have a counterbalance and different opinions and all that sort of stuff. We discussed a little bit the Putin interview, and I can only imagine how much pressure that would have been for any journalist in his situation, so I'm sympathetic to that. But I did post a video yesterday from V. The name of his channel is Romanian TV. It's very good. He's hysterical, very bright guy, and has some very interesting political takes. I think he's a doctor by trade, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, V is in Romania, is Eastern European, shares much of the world views of Constantine, somebody else I've become friends with, from trigonometry, who's, as you know, from Russia as well. And, V brought up this interesting point that I was thinking immediately. I think most people who've traveled anywhere or have lived anywhere outside of the Western world has asked. And that question is, does Tucker Carlson not understand economics? And here's the point. So he went to do the Putin interview, which I agree he should have. If he had studied Putin's speeches, he would have known that god-awful long historical diatribe that was factually inaccurate in some cases and inaccurate in some others is what just Putin does all the time. This is the same shtick he does in Russian. And by the way, you know how Putin's reading he's got the thing in the translator? He speaks English. There's a very famous video from Putin in, I think it was the 90s. I think it was I'm going to say Fox News or ABC, interviewed him when he spoke in English. But he's got a really mousy voice in English, and I think that's probably why. But he understood everything that Tucker was asking him. So anyways, but he's got to do the act because he's talking to his base, right? That's why he wants to answer in Russian, because he's trying to maintain control over his people and maintain his popularity, which is apparently quite high. Because if it's not, you get killed. So that you can answer the end of any Putin sentence with, because if not, you get killed. That's just it. So Tucker went to the first video, at least that I saw. Apparently he's done a whole bunch of them. He went to a grocery store in Moscow, and he spent $100. He went to get groceries for a week, and it cost him $100. And he was shocked because in the United States, that would have cost him $400. Ergo, Russia is so much better, is functioning so much better. Like, it's going to be $100 because they earn like 1/10 the wages. Of course, it's going to be less. Have you never been anywhere? Like, that's what I love about Colombia. When I go to South America, or in Mexico, or anywhere I've gone to, in Panama, every place I've traveled, when you go to South America, things are 1/10 the price. Because I live in the first world economy, those people are in the third world economy, where they don't earn nearly as much as we do, and goods are cheaper as a result, or else there would be no market. This is the market economy. It's crazy. And then he went to McDonald's, and he got a bunch of things, like 2 cheeseburgers, fries, cake, couple of drinks, whatever, something that would have been $25, $30 in the United States or Canada, and it cost him $7. Yeah, well, duh! Of course, you're in Russia. So I went and I pulled some stats. I couldn't get more stats because a more recent stat hasn't changed that much. People's salaries haven't gone up 300% in 5 years. But I got a stat from March 2019, and the average salary in Moscow, is the average salary in Russia is $718 a month, and in Moscow, which is the capital, which is really considered very expensive in Russia, it's $1,477. So that ultra cheap $7 McDonald's is that meal alone is 1% of what the average Russian salary is. Just that meal alone, just those 2 burgers. Like it's not cheaper. It's cheaper if you earn money. If you earn millions of dollars in the Western world and you go there, then yes, it's gonna be a lot cheaper. So, anyways, just really fun. So, I was going to mention this too. So, I don't know that I can't imagine Tucker's never traveled before, or never gone to a third world country and understood that people earn remarkably less money there, and they look like. I'll give you an example, and we're going back a number of years ago, but when in my friend Hernan, for example, he through high school, there were clearly difficult times in Colombia, but he's very intelligent, super hardworking. So his dad lost his job, so he had to become the breadwinner for the family, but he also was trying to pay himself through university. So what he did was he worked full time as an IT guy at night, like overnight IT, and he went to school during the day, and he slept for like 2 hours between school and in the morning, 2 hours. Like when he finished his shift, he slept for 2 hours, and then when he finished school, he slept for 2 hours, and he was doing homework when he was doing his IT job and that sort of stuff. Really sacrificed a lot. But during that period, as soon as he graduated, he ended up buying, when he got his first job, he bought a finca, which is like a cottage outside the city. I can't remember the name of the neighborhood. It's not Rio Negro, but anyways, it's got a finca. He bought a condo in downtown, like in the city center, and he bought a car, bought a Mazda 121, and all 3 of them, the total was $45,000 at that time. So think about that. Spent $45,000 on a finca, on property outside the city, on a condo, and a car. Yeah, guess what? Things are cheaper there because you earn less money. Because a middle-class salary there at that time was $1,500, maybe $1,700 a month. That's why. All these Dugan lovers know nothing about economics. It's fascinating. Anyways. Oh, and the other thing is, yeah, things are cheaper for everybody who's thinking, oh, I'm going to move to South America. Listen, I love it. However, there's a lot of sacrifices. Now, first and foremost, you must speak the language. You must go there and speak the language, which is my frustration. Like Dan from Lotus Eaters and that whole crew are really frustrated that people come to England and they don't have to integrate, they don't have to learn the language, and I'm there with them. You know why? Because when I moved to South America, you know what I did? I learned a friggin' language. I learned how to speak. And people don't do that here? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand how you can live that way. So one of the sacrifices, you got to learn the language, or you're just not gonna survive. And you don't have the amenities. It's getting a little better because there's certain technologies that leapfrog the Western world, like the first world, like I don't know, cellular technology be one of them. Kind of, not exactly, but kind of. You don't have the same competition in the marketplace. Maybe it's a little better if you're in Buenos Aires or bigger cities, or São Paulo and stuff. But in general, you just don't have a Western standard of living. So you are sacrificing for that cheaper amount of money to live there, or the cheaper cost of living. And guess what? Russia's the same way. You know why? Russians got sanctions because Russia invaded a country. And by the way, that's no endorsement of Zelensky. I think he's a criminal as well. They all suck. There's no good guys in this battle. But anyways, so Konstantin Kisin, follow him on Twitter if you don't, did an interview on the Unheard podcast. I just posted it earlier tonight. Worth listening because he discusses some of this stuff with Tucker. He's been on Tucker's program a couple of times. And he's been on twice. I don't think he's going to go on again, I guess. I've been on once. I'm probably not going to go on again. But he explains a lot of this. And he touches on this thing that's very important that I've heard it discussed now for maybe 6 months. And that is the emergence of the woke right, which is what I started with when I started the stream. The woke right. What is the woke right? Well, I think if you listen to the interview with Konstantin, he gives a good description of it, his perspective. For me, my litmus test for people, if they're the woke right or not, is if they reject Henlon's razor and think everything is the CIA. That's your woke right. They think, Henlon's razor, by the way, it's that axiom, never ascribe malice to things that can be explained with stupidity. Generally, that's what it says. I don't know if that's word for word what Henlon suggested, but that's the idea. You don't ascribe malice, because most things can be explained through stupidity and incompetence, especially in government, right? But the people say, no, it's the CIA, this country sucks, they destroyed the country, Putin is better, it's better to live somewhere else and whatever. No, that's the woke right, because that's the same world philosophy as the woke left, right? That, the West is horrible, and whatever. And as Konstantin says correctly, the West is still the best place to live, where you have the greatest amount of freedoms. Now, are they under threat? Yes. That's why we had a trucker convoy. That's why they had Jan 6, I guess. I mean, that's a little bit more complicated. They were trying to secure their election. But the idea that other places are more free and secure to live. Like, look, I've lived in these countries. I love them. But if you think they're more free and secure, you're a fucking moron. I'm sorry. You're just a moron. Sorry for the bad language. But you just, El Salvador is the bastion of freedom. What are you talking about? Every cell phone in El Salvador gets preloaded with Pegasus. So the government reads everything you put in your phone. Same in Colombia, right? Because the argument is los narcos, la guerrilleros, this for safety and security, right? So every phone has Pegasus. That's your freedom? You don't think the government uses that to oppress people? Look what happened to Alejandro. They cut his brains out. For you don't know, just check it out. Check out my Twitter feed. There's going to be more of that. Alejandro's funeral was on Monday, by the way. A little pissed about that. Anyways, so he talks about a lot of this stuff, and he gets into the woke right a little bit. And I'm not suggesting people need to be right-wing or left-wing or whatever. Like, I don't even subscribe to that. I've explained many times before, I like the pyramid of the left goals, the right systems, the freedoms of libertarians, and that's kind of how I view the world, and everybody is an individual within that system. But to suggest that anybody who comes to the conclusion that Russia is a freer, better, cleaner place than the United States or Canada or Western countries, like, you need to see the world a little bit more, is what I would suggest. Ken says, does Kissen still have TDS? So I didn't know. I mean, I knew of him, but I didn't watch them so much back then. I don't think so. I had a private conversation with them in their office, and I think it's more, I don't want to put words in their mouth. I think it's more Francis that's more, well, I shouldn't even say that, because he was actually quite practical and down to earth. So they have grievances with Trump that I disagree with but are valid, right? Like, for example, one of the things that people hate is when a politician is unstatesmanlike, his tweets, the calling people names and whatever. And I'm like Scott Adams. Like, that's part of the show. That's the entertainment, right? And the reason is because, maybe he's a complete a-hole. Good. Why do I want politicians to have an easy day at the office? No, I want them to deal with the biggest pain in the ass who's going to make their lives miserable. That's what Trump offers me. So I think it's great. But their view is a little bit different. They look at the world differently, I think. I mean, I don't want to put words in their mouth. I'm not saying them specifically. But other people who dislike, I have people in my family that dislike Trump for that reason. And my argument is, okay, I get it. I disagree, but I understand how you come to that conclusion. And I tell them, I don't think you're weighing the benefits, the cost-benefit analysis, the same way I would, but whatever. To each their own, right? So anyways, check out the conversation with Constantine, Unheard podcast. Really great conversation. And I think it's important for us to be aware of the emerging woke right, just like there's the woke left. All woke is bad. Just how about that? Woke is bad. It's destroying society. We all need to get along. We all got to focus on our similarities, not our differences. And the more we do that, the more we put an effort into that, the better our lives are going to be, which is what I was trying to do with the messaging around the convoy. And, of course, the political establishment didn't like that. But, oh, well, it's too bad. I don't give a shit. All right. Apparently, I'm a Sigma male. I do my own thing, so whatever that means. Okay. Last thing I just want to talk about is kind of the positive frame around all of this stuff. So, firstly, the joke lawsuits around the people who've lost their minds. I mean, the entertainment value doesn't get better than that. It's hysterical. Come on. You have to be able to sit back and enjoy things and not let it get to you. It is what it is, right? And let it go. It'll be funny. It'll probably crash and burn. And then the emails will come out, oh, your freedoms are under threat again, and blah, 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 blah. Just don't give them any money. That's my only suggestion to you. But more importantly, as I said when we started this, today is 2 years since I did the Freedom Convoy statement with Jordan Peterson. Please watch that, and please share it. It's still on Jordan's YouTube channel, and it has a very important message for all of us and how we can all come together. Not just what the goals were for the Freedom Convoy specifically, but I think what the goals could be for all of us into the future. Like I explained in that statement, when I closed off, I said, peace, love, unity, and freedom is the future of the Canadian identity. And we need to leverage that future and teach that to the world. We can't do that if we're allowing the political class to always manipulate us and have us going at each other's throats. Yeah, I got friends who are lefty. I got friends who are right. My lefty friends, I don't really talk about politics much. We'll talk about cars and computers and tech and stuff like that. If you ever watch any tech tutorials online, I know some of those people. Some of them are even kind of woke, but whatever, they're fine. We disagree. They think I'm a right-wing maniac, but, we tolerate each other and laugh about stuff that we like, and then that's it, right? We have our common ground. But in 2 years since that interview or that statement that I read with Jordan Peterson on his platform, right now, myself and others, all of us, have this reverse class action lawsuit that's, I believe, $450 some odd million. I think it'll work itself out over time. This is going to be a long process. We have Justice Mosley's ruling, which is currently in appeal, which is why you don't have to join any class action lawsuit. By the way, so you know, I produce a legal podcast for Not on Record, and they and I know other lawyers. You don't think I called people that day and said, hey, silly question, but what's the merit of a class action given Justice Mosley's ruling? So we all started trading emails. They started emailing each other and then CCing me on the emails. And there's interest. And these are from real firms, not fake firms, but suggesting that we got to wait till the appeal's heard, and we have to read the appeal and see what the appeal says. Then we have to go back to the ruling and reconfirm the ruling and see if there's something that warrants a class action. And by the way, we don't have punitive law the same way they do in the United States. There's no such thing as $100 million of lawsuits. I don't remember the record in Canada, but I think the maximum per complainant in punitive is something like $50,000 if you win the case. It's not the American legal system. I keep trying to get Joseph to beat that dead horse on Not on Record. The Canadian legal system is very different from the American legal system, which he calls the meat grinder. It is very different. Nobody is going to make millions of dollars because the police in Ottawa arrested us and beat us. It's just not our system of law. I'm sorry. And anybody who is telling you that, they are lying to your face. And they might be one of these lawyers saying, pay me a $50,000 retainer and I'll put you on contingency, which I'm pretty sure is illegal and in violation of the Bar Association guidances. So that's just my understanding. But that too will work itself out. All of this will work out. We just got to give things time. Just like I've had to give things time for the truth to come out. And I knew this would take a while. I knew this would take years. So you play the long game. You just wait. You talk to people. You set things up. And you let the universe do its thing. Because eventually, you got to be patient, but eventually the truth always comes out. We also have this great thing called X/Twitter, which is the closest thing we've been to free speech for quite some time. Remember, during the convoy, I couldn't have a Freedom Convoy account. I had to be very careful how I messaged because I was controlling Tamara's account and my account. And by the way, you know, I grew Tamara's account organically during the convoy, and it's amazing how slowly that account would grow because it was organic versus people joining Twitter and instantly they have 30,000 followers. It's almost like a company like Win Systems or another firm like that is artificially propping up accounts. But anyways, but we do have this free speech platform called Twitter. It's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. But unlike 2 years ago during the Freedom Convoy, when I had to be very careful and I had to use all these different hashtags and hope that they were working and dodge censor, that's why I wasn't on Facebook, right? Tamara was supposed to be running the Facebook, which she gave to Keith Wilson, which I still don't understand that. And I was running all the Twitter stuff because I knew we would get more traction on Twitter, right? Facebook, most of those groups are controlled by political parties. Facebook's a waste of time for that. Except for Danny's Facebook page, Freedom Accountability. Check it out. Danny's working very hard on that. So we have this free speech platform. And the biggest thing of all is, you know, somebody asked, Ken, you asked about, you know, does Constantine have TDS? And I don't think so, at least in my communications with him privately, face-to-face. He doesn't. He's not a fan, but he doesn't have TDS. The normies are waking up. Like, the normies are understanding now that clown world can't be tolerated. That, yeah, maybe clown world this time around came out of their school of philosophy, But even they are now rejecting it, and they understand it's got to come to an end. So the time of people labeling each other, saying, oh, you're just a liberal, you don't know how to think, or you're just a conservative, you don't know how to think, we got to stop that. And we got to understand and respect that we just, like we have people in our friends and families who have different philosophies of thought, we can't admonish them for that, but we can work on persuading them, which was the premise and the thesis of my speech in El Salvador. I was talking in that realm specifically about Bitcoin, but the importance of persuading people, which is what I was doing with the communications around the Freedom Convoy. I was trying to focus on persuasion, which is why I recommend Robert Cialdini, Scott Adams, and there are various others in this very fascinating area of communications. And if we do that and we work on persuading people, not attacking them, things are going to get better. And this is only 2 years since the convoy. I think I'm super optimistic about the future over the long term. You're going to get rid of Trudeau. His own party has wanted him out now since the convoy. So Trudeau's done. Hopefully another maniac doesn't take control of the Liberal Party, and we'll just be back to corrupt liberals. Fine. So Poilievre will be in. I think Trump getting into office is already a foregone conclusion. There's so much momentum. There's nothing they can do sticks at this point. They can do all the arraignments that they want. They're all BS, and at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to have any teeth, and there's not enough time anymore. The election is November, and he is overwhelmingly popular. I drive through, rural America and into those, just in Baltimore the other day, Philadelphia last week, whatever. Once again, I'm seeing Trump signs everywhere, right? I saw a Trump sign, I can't remember, it was so funny, I couldn't take a picture of it. Something like Trump 2024, no more bullshit. It was so good. Massive sign, like the sign, a flag the size of a house. It was hysterical. It was in West Virginia. It was brilliant. If you murder someone, does parliamentary immunity exist then? No, because that's what the exact wording. Remember here, look, I'll show you. Because in the course of the execution of their official duties. Murdering somebody is not part of the official duties, Ken. But I hear your point. I know what you're saying. In my opinion, immunity doesn't exist for illegal acts. Agreed. But if it's within the purview of what an elected official should be doing, then that's a different story. Anyways, Edge, while the truth is coming out, the dollars are also coming out of simp wallets. Certain people running rent-a-friend scams. That's a good, you know what, Edge, that is a very good way to describe the relationships in political parties and why I just wasn't in it for the long haul. I got involved in politics because I had a business in downtown Toronto. We had a maniac leftist CCP supporter, or funded, as our city councilor, and I figured, let's just go make her life miserable. And she did a whole bunch of other stuff. And I figured I'll just keep doing it. Maybe I'll get involved and I'll try to help. I'll try to make a difference, right? Everybody always complains. And I just thought, well, let me try this. I know a little bit about, I've been trained in communications and stuff. Let me try politics, see if I can contribute and help. And, well, here I am. And one thing led to another. They ended up asking me to run federally. I did that. And then after that, it was enough. It was enough. Because as Edge correctly describes it, those are the types of people that make up political parties. Rent-a-friend scams, or rent-a-friends. And for some of the people who watch this, I know there's a group of girls in Arizona. Hi, girls. ¿Cómo están? They, from what I understand, they understand what is very important to me is authenticity. And I don't care if people are rough around the edges. I just want them to be authentic. But there's something you don't find in politics, and that's authenticity. But you're going to find some authenticity here. It's got all the good stories, none of the bad stories. Didn't litter this book with the pollution of politics and stuff like that. Very little. It's obviously about Trudeau. So if you don't like Trudeau, you'll like the book too. But honkingforfreedom.com, I promise it'll make you smile, and it might even make you cry. All right. Did we do good for the night stream? Was that fun? It was a little bit longer than usual, but yeah, I think we got everything covered. So I am going to finish up this glass of wine, and I'm going to go discombobulate because I am so sick right now. And I'm going to take some medicine, and I'm going to go to sleep and try to feel better. So thank you all, Jess, Tao, everybody else. I haven't read as many comments this time, again, because I got yelled at last time for doing that. So let's see how that changes, and we will... I'd like to do something where we're more communicative, and I know, Tao, that's what you have the Discord for. I was actually thinking about that a couple of days ago, that maybe we should set up a time for like a little... do a first little video session, maybe a couple of us, and have other people join or something like that. But I'm so lost with Discord, and I just don't have time to learn new software. I have a bunch of new software I have to learn right now. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that and see if we can set something up. Cheryl, thank you. I hope you're having an awesome weekend. I hope the universe is good to you this weekend. And please have some time for yourself. As I told somebody who I'm friends with this week who is going through some difficult times, it's important to step away from things once in a while and just have your time, you time. And I hope you do that this weekend. And same for you, Beth, here on Locals, who is always here. On Locals, by the way, in the chat, you can actually post memes and pictures and stuff like that, which is what she does. And thank you so much for that, Beth. I really appreciate it. Patience is important. The truth always wins. It does, and sometimes it's quicker than others. And I think in today's world, it'll work a little bit quicker than it has in the past. Ken, thanks for the stream. It was entertaining. Ken, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And also let me know on Twitter and stuff, should I do more like nighttime stuff on the weekends as opposed to the mornings and stuff like that? Because my schedule is so tight right now. I have so much on my plate, and it's sometimes a struggle to get through everything. So let me know what you think. I love you all. Please be good to people, especially tomorrow, because your subconscious is always watching. And if your subconscious sees that you're a good person to everyone else, there's nothing that breeds confidence like that. Kindness above everything.